Let's talk. Growing up, like most of us did, we loved the Indiana Jones movies. It was actually the reason why I got into anthropology in the first place. That and, the Jurassic Park movies, but Jurassic Park is paleontology, not anthropology or archaeology at all. Two separate different things. I digress. Raiders of the Lost Ark, which was made in 1981, I believe, is actually an action-adventure film, but when it comes to archaeological accuracies, it takes way too many liberties for it, which is kind of funny since Indiana Jones is said to be an archaeological professor, but whatever. In this video, I will be ranking, actually, the 4 different categories that I have created to how plausible or how not plausible at all some of the archaeological stuff he does is in the movies. Also, here to help me today is my archaeological consult, Mr. Garfield. First, we have the This Happened category. This means that it is in real life, it is real, it is plausible, all of that kind of stuff. Next is potential archaeological consult, meaning that maybe, just maybe, they talked to an actual archaeologist about this. Third is, did Schmielman write this? And for those who don't know, Schmielman is kind of famous for making stuff up, and basically it didn't happen, you're just kind of making things up. Lastly is Spielberg fluff, meaning there's no way this actually happened. How do you even think that this happened? So let's start from the beginning. In the beginning of the movie, Indiana Jones is making his way through Peru to go look for the Temple of the Chachapoya Warriors. Now, I'm going to put this in the This Happened section because the Chachapoya were a real ancient people. They were called the Warriors of the Clouds. They lived in the cloud forest in the southern part of what is now Peru. The Inca Empire actually conquered them shortly before the Spanish conquest. The Chachapoya were a real people, and so because of this, I'm going to put them in This Happened. Indy finds the temple, and they go inside. But the temples in the movie are very, very wrong, safe to say. Temples are supposed to be a place of worship. I'm not so sure that, you're supposed to have spikes or rolling boulders or all those different kind of things. I haven't found any archaeological evidence that temples, places of worship, are booby-trapped like that. I guess the inspiration they could have come from are some Egyptian tombs, but tombs and temples are two different things. Like I said, temples, worship, tombs, therefore the dead. Now, a lot of Egyptian tombs did have artifacts in it that were considered important to the person who died, and they want to bring them over into the afterlife. And because of this, sometimes tombs were built with booby traps of sorts, but it was usually just hallways that led to nowhere to confuse the people who would try and steal from them, not to the degree that the movie has. So I'm putting the entire temple thing, all of it is going in Spielberg fluff. It's not real. It's not real. Now, our man Indy ends up making his way through the temple and ends up finding what he's looking for, which is a Chachapoyan fertility idol. The idol is fake. Sorry to disappoint you guys, though it is inspired by a sculpture believed to be the Aztec goddess. I'll put the name here on the screen because I cannot pronounce it. Indy ends up switching the artifacts with a weighted bag and makes it out of the temple. Blah, 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 whatever. Yay, he did it. As soon as he exits the temple, he gives this artifact to some random French archaeologist. I don't even remember if he's named. Like, yes, let's just give this precious artifact you went through booby traps to find and just give it to him randomly. Like, yes, of course you're gonna know that he's gonna be able to take care of it properly. Whatever, it's so dumb, I'm not even gonna add it to the list. The next part is actually Indy teaching, because like I said, he is an archaeological professor. He's lecturing about the Turkden, Barrow, and Hazelton, and both of these places are actually real places in England, and there are 2 Neolithic graves there. And only one of the Neolithic graves have been excavated, so we'll put this in the "this happened" part. Next, Jones is approached by 2 army intelligence guys who have intercepted a message from the Nazis. And they want Jones to translate because obviously archaeologists and linguistic anthropologists are the exact same thing, and all archaeologists can speak all languages at any point if you're asked. But anyways, the Nazis basically say, "Oh, we're evil, we're Nazis, ha ha ha, we know where the Ark of the Covenant is." So the Ark of the Covenant is the main artifact and the main conflict within this movie that it's what they're trying to find, basically. Indiana Jones hates Nazis. So this man was ready to go throw some hands immediately and join to go find the Ark of the Covenant. Now, to find the Ark, Jones needs one very specific thing, and that is the headpiece of the Staff of Ra. It's also a medallion, so I'll be switching between the 2 terminology. When the headpiece of Ra is put on his staff, and it's in a very specific cave on a very specific point so the sun can hit it, the sunbeam hits a small model that, will show where the ancient city is so they can go find the Ark. A point I need to make is Ra is an Egyptian god, and the Ark is a Judaic and Christian idea. So the headpiece of Ra does not exist. But if you take a crackpot archaeologist, they could try to make an argument that Egyptian, Christian, and Judaic ideas are closely related. So I'm gonna put the headpiece in being Did Schmielman write this? While we don't have any archaeological evidence for the Ark, there is evidence within sacred texts in both Christian and Judaic religions. I will go into more detail on what the Ark looks like in the movie versus the texts and how it's described there. In the movie, the Nazis wanted to find the Ark of the Covenant because Hitler believed it would help him raise a powerful army to win the war. Now, in real life, no Nazis, none of them ever went to go look for the Ark. There was a man named Heinrich Himmler who was obsessed with pseudo-archaeology. This man wanted to find proof that the Germans were in fact superior. Because the Ark of the Covenant is in these religious texts, I am going to put these in potential archaeological consult. Now, you remember that headpiece I mentioned at the beginning, the headpiece of Ra? Well, that comes into play now because they need it to find where the Ark of the Covenant is. Now, the problem is, the person who has the medallion or the headpiece is Indiana Jones' ex's situationship. We meet her in a bar, and Indy comes and starts talking to her, and immediately a fight breaks out with Nazis in him, the bar gets burned down, all that good stuff. The Nazis never got the headpiece, but they did make almost an exact replica by a burn mark in one of the Nazis' hands when they grabbed the medallion during the fire. Now, I don't think you can make almost an exact replica of just a burn mark, so this is gonna go in Spielberg fluff. Anyways, they make it all the way to Cairo, where the Ark is, and they start to dig and dig and dig, and eventually, they think they find the Ark. Except, no, they fall in a pit of snakes. Oh no! They go through the pit of snakes, and wouldn't you believe it, there's the Ark. Why do they have to go through snakes? I have no idea. This is obviously just Spielberg bullshit. In literature, the Ark is described as being gold-plated wooden box with 2 angels, golden angels, on top and 2 spokes on the side, or poles on the side. That way the people can lift it up, because you're actually not allowed to touch the Ark itself. In the movie, it has almost the exact same thing as how I described it. They look almost exactly the same. So I'm going to put that in potential archaeologist consult. After they find the Ark, it's sort of a cat and mouse game between the Nazis and Indiana Jones to see who's going to get the Ark. Now, eventually, the Nazis get it, they open it, and, well, they all die. They look inside the Ark, and a bunch of spirits come on out, and they attack them, and the Nazis either explode or their faces melt off. According to the Book of Samuel, Levet Uzha touched the Ark with his hand in order to steady it while they were transporting it, and God instantly killed him. I want to put this in possible archaeological consult, but because of how dramatic the movie makes it, I'm going to put it in Did Schmeelman write this? Jones goes back to the US with the Ark, and he meets up with the two US Army agents I talked about earlier. Remember them? Well, Indiana Jones is reassured that they have their top men making sure that this thing is secure, making sure that they're studying it and being safe. When in actuality, we see it's put in a wooden crate, and then they put it in a giant warehouse full of a bunch of other wooden crates, and this happens all the time. Priceless historical artifacts get put in boxes and just stored in the archives, potentially to never be seen again. So I'm putting this in This Happens All the Time because it does. Based on everything we talked about, we can see that the creators of the film are more interested in making a fun little film more than an authentic archaeological film. Some attention was given to convince the everyday viewer that the work of Jones is that of an archaeologist, but us anthropologists, we know, since we're the ones who are studying this kind of stuff, that it's just a dramatized version.